This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Want to pull off the season's freshest trends? You just need the right shoes. That's where Designer Shoe Warehouse comes in. Loving wide-leg jeans? Pair them with sleek, low-profile sneakers. Obsessed with the sheer trend? Try it with mesh flats. Feeling boho? Comfy sandals nail the whole free-spirited thing. Find on-trend shoes from the brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, and more at DSW.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here, and you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Fan.
Welcome back to the show.
9 to noon.
That's a great setup, Bob.
Good stuff.
Just listen.
Oh, please.
9 to noon.
Come down with a little bit extra burst here out of that timeout. And nearly threw it behind Conley. Wolves being a little bit loose with their possession here. And a pull-up three. Oh, goodness. Big time shot by Anthony Edwards. He's up to 25. His fourth three of the night. Now has it against J-Dub. Bangs away with him from 18. Starts to back him down. Shot clock down to 4. Out of the three-point line, a double ensues. Up top, here's Jaden. Straightaway three is good. Second three of the quarter for Jaden McDaniels. And the Wolves lead is back to 30. Crossover on Nas. Goes up and Reed recovers and blocks the shot. Not on my watch. Here's Nikhil on the push. Off the Shannon. He'll attack the defense. He'll float it up and in. He got the foul. He bumps into Isaiah Joe. He's screaming to the fans. Ooh!
9 to noon.
Good morning. It's 9 to noon. We are anxiously awaiting the arrival. It is imminent. Head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. You heard the highlights there. Sadly, it was part of a series that didn't go right for our favorite hoop squad. But the head coach himself, Chris Finch, getting settled here in the 651 Carpets Plus studios for an extended conversation 9 to noon. What's he think of this finals series? OKC with the 3-2 lead. How do you think of his favorite team? 2 years in a row now in the Western Conference Final. Busy summer potentially ahead for the Howl.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mad Producer. How are you?
It's a beautiful day, and I'm excited for this upcoming hour, PA.
Well, you should be, because last time it transpired, you were supposed to produce the radio show, and you were sprinting down the hallway, and I said, Chris, Coach Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, we just lost our producer because his wife is giving birth to his third child, and he has to go, so we got a little bit of a set list change here. That was... it was a whirlwind of a day for you, but you did miss Finchy that day, didn't you?
I did miss Coach Finch, and I have to say, being able to shake his hand, he was the last hand that I shook before I went to the hospital and welcomed baby Hannah into the world.
Yeah.
Which means if there's potentially baby 4 in the mix, I don't know if you're open to it, Coach, but we got to set something up again. I'm not a superstitious person, but any extra edge I can get from a birth standpoint, I'm open to it.
Yeah. Chris and I made eye contact, like, bam, lickety-split when you said that the way you did. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, in studio 9 to noon, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and also Prize Picks. Chris, the way he kind of laid that out, I thought he was heading down the road of, like, could you help me create my fourth child? Maybe how tall are you? 6'6"?
6'4".
6'4"? Yeah. You walk around like you're, 6'4" with the limp, 6'6" right. Without the limp. Man, it's great seeing you. Thank you very much for stopping by. What do you think of the NBA Finals so far? OKC's up 3-2, and there was a game last night, and good morning.
Well, I'm going to tell myself here, I haven't watched a single minute of it.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Really? Is that a first?
It's...
Well, excuse me with the "are you kidding me" flipping line. It surprises me because you're an elite NBA mind and you enjoy high-level competition, like you've been known to watch the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
Certainly you watch the World Series, especially if your beloved Phillies are in it. Yeah. Super Bowl, too. Why have you stepped away?
Well, it's very hard to watch the round after you're eliminated. Mm-hmm. It's just you're still emotionally involved. So I will watch it. I will watch it in the summertime, or
So if I told you Indiana had a 3-2 lead, you'd have no idea that was wrong.
I mean, I'm following. I am following along, and it looks like it's been a great series. Really highly competitive.
Yeah,
I think. It's a shame that some of the biggest stories surrounding it are not about the series themselves. It's about,
meaning?
Well, we have, narratives surrounding players, if they are or not all-star level. I mean, superstar levels or referees' performances and the commentary around that. So, and it feels, my other kind of problem with the finals right now is it feels like it loses its momentum. There's too many days in between the games.
Yeah. And same thing with the Stanley. I mean, here, state of hockey too, but 9 to noon sports intensive radio show. And, we happen to enjoy hockey also. It's the same thing. I mean, it's like you get a rough and tumble game between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, or a really good meat grinder between OKC and Indiana. And you're like, all right, I can't wait for that. Holy cow, I got to wait 2 or 3 days. Right. It's weird.
Yeah, I thought, I thought the game would be on Sunday night, and it wasn't. It kind of caught me a little off guard, even though I'm not really paying too much attention to it.
Aaron Freeman. First and foremost, he's not going to like this, so cover your ears. Covenant claps for Aaron Freeman and Sarah Perez with T-Wolves PR. Because Aaron and I, and Nordo and Aaron, we do a lot of work to arrange things with Chris Finch joining us and getting over there to the owner suite and everything, man. So we just greatly appreciate you. We want to make that publicly known. We have wonderful, wonderful PR staffs in this town. And 9 to noon has become quite close with a lot of them, but things like this don't happen consistently unless people like Aaron are amenable and open to making them happen. So thank you very much, Aaron. We greatly appreciate you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Likewise for Sarah. So you and I, and I'm going to take a leap here. I'm going to go off this little Tolstoy script if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you and I, Aaron introduced you. He brought you to the state fair. I believe that was 4 years ago, right?
It was, yeah.
All right, so we'll say 4 years ago. So you and I meet, and it's fair to say a couple of East Coast guys hit it off immediately with old school basketball stories and stuff like that. We're about the same age. So the reason I bring that up is whether it's conversations you and I have had on or off the radio, texting off the radio, stuff like that. I feel comfortable enough with where our friendship is at this stage to say this, that the way the Oklahoma City series ended and just everything around it, and maybe stuff that's coming up, with July 1st and players who may or may not be here, right, that you're still a little stung. Is that fair to say? That you're still a little stung and or down? Because I've noticed over the years, certainly not saying that like I'm on a team, but being with the team, there also is a certain degree of peace that comes with finality. Right. But I'm not sensing that with you. Am I right?
I would say you might be a little bit right. I think we were beat by the better team. There's no doubt about it. We were beat by the better team. And we didn't play well. And a lot of that was Oklahoma City's doing. Maybe going back into that series, like anything else, you'd like to do things differently. And maybe that's where that lack of peace comes from that you might be picking up and sensing.
Right.
Generally, I'm a guy who goes into the summer not, holding on to things, and I think that's just how I am. Yeah, I mean, I hold on to my misery throughout the season. I don't need to hold on to it throughout the summer.
And it's not like you don't care.
Right. It's not.
That has nothing to do with it. They sting differently when they're over.
Right.
These relationships that you have with players and coaches and series and teams and drama and everything, and this one seems to have stung a little differently.
It has. I thought we didn't play well in that game 5. It was not a good representation of ourselves at all. But again, sometimes that happens. I do think we maximized our chances this year in a lot of ways. So we're very pleased and proud of that. I think right now in the game, it's about getting to the table enough times, and that's what we got to keep trying to do. Maybe you punch through one time, and that's all it takes. I mean, look at Boston's run over the last 5-6 years. I mean, they've gotten there. They had a knockback in there, and then they finally punched through last year.
Yeah.
And then this year, everything changes again. On a horrific injury. So I think we understand like the challenge that's there, and the challenge is to try to get back and do it all over again. But it's like any other death for that matter. Like when a season's over, you go from 100 miles an hour to 0.
Yeah.
And that is, everyone processes that a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point in time, I'm like, there's not anything else I can do now going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But your mind is always racing with all the things you need to do differently when you start next year, but I think you need this healthy detachment from it, because during the season, it just never stops coming. It's a long season.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like when you're as close as we have been, we know there's things we got to get right and get better, but now you're hungrier than ever.
I'm going to take a pause here, and then we're going to go with the marathon segment, next segment, because you just, you opened a vein, which we appreciate. And there are a lot of things off which we can play, with what Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, just shared with us, on 9 to noon. And that's part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. By the way, we are going to play some, band related talkbacks for Chris Finch in the final segment, beginning about 9:45. So head to the free iHeartRadio app, find that little microphone. You have up to 30 seconds, and you can opine and you can chime in, and you can offer commentary or praise or whatever's on your mind about the Timberwolves and Coach Chris Finch via the talkbacks. We will run a few back in the final segment of our 1 hour in studio with Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. When we return, we're going to get into a very important word involving some things Coach Finch just said, and we'll share what that is around the corner at FM 100.3 KFAN.
9 to noon.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit, so you can push your gameplay beyond performance with Intel Core Ultra processors. For the next era of gaming, upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E and maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search. Power up at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. The Fan.
Time for two more.
Just listen. You like that?
What in the ham fat is going on with you guys?
You think it's funny?
Take care, Polly Wally.
Hi, Rube. All right, the word that I teased to bring up with Coach Finch, Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves in studio 9 to noon. Very kind of him and the Timberwolves to do that on your home for T-Wolves basketball. That word is stigma. And what I mean is, like, the last thing a coach or people associated with an organization of any sport want to hear is like, quote, they sure are good, but they always unravel before the final series, end quote. And you guys have made it to the Western Conference Finals 2 consecutive years. You ran into an absolute buzzsaw this year, and the timing of it last year where, you bounced Denver and then you barely can come up for air. And then you're into the next series after they had a little time off, and Luka and Kyrie and those bigs and everything were really, really hot when you caught them. So maybe a loser's lament, but nevertheless, Western Conference Finals and couldn't get to the finals. The word stigma, avoiding that stigma, is that something you ever think about?
Not at all.
Why? Because it's non-existent?
Yeah, I think might be a coincidence, or maybe we lost at the point we were supposed to lose 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing everything we possibly can to try to, take that next step. I think if you asked us if there was a stigma on us, in March. No one would say there was a stigma on us in March. So stigmas are something that should be there all the time. Maybe now people feel we've earned that label. I've never heard it really. You know, in the several weeks since the season has finished. I do think there's a stigma in the Minnesota sporting landscape that people feel that they're always hard done by. And I said this, in my post-season comments, and I was joking about growing up an Eagles fan in the 80s. And the reality of sports is, and this is what we love about it, is that it always ends badly for 29 teams.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how it ends. It never feels good. And there's always something to lament about it. And there's always something to, kind of grab onto. But the reality is, I don't think that the pain of being a Minnesota sports fan is any greater than the pain of being any other passionate sports fan base. And that's what we love about it, is that we're passionate.
Right.
I know what a championship would mean to this city, to this market, to this state, to this fan base that extends beyond the state borders. That's our goal, is to deliver that. And, if we can do that in a city that's not won a championship in a long time, I know what that would mean to the legacy of everybody involved. And that's in the front of our mind. But honestly, we're just trying to get better every single day. It sounds cliched, but that's how this stuff works. And I reference what I just said. You have to have enough bites at the apple now to do it. It's very difficult to just rise and punch through. I mean, what we're seeing in Oklahoma City,
it took them a while.
It did. It took them a little while, but once they got on track, they got there pretty quickly. But they've had a lot of continuity. They were able to add the right pieces, but there's no guarantee that they're going to sit at the table.
When I say it took them a while, let me rephrase that. They got really bad for a little while.
Yeah, they tanked.
Yeah,
they tanked. They went through a tanking phase, and they had a lot of good fortune through that, and they did a lot of smart things through that. We thought Boston would be there forever. Now, who knows what Boston looks like going forward?
Right.
We thought Memphis was going to be that team a couple years ago. So sustainability is as much as part of success right now in a landscape where you're now going to have 7 champions in 7 years.
Yeah.
Next year, money would say you're going to have 8.
What's that mean?
Means that it could be anybody. The league's never been more wide open. And so there's a lot of factors that come into play. So
you don't think OKC potentially is set up set up to be high end for a little bit?
Of course they are, but I'm going to go by history right now and say we've had 7 championships in 7 years, and until they go back to back, I'm going to say there's going to be 8 champions in 8 years.
Fair. Do you sense, whether it's the Timberwolves or not, Chris, will teams construct themselves to beat OKC? Kind of like what you guys did to beat Denver when the Nuggets were the target at which to shoot.
I'm not sure if they'll construct themselves to beat OKC, but they will construct themselves in a different manner where depth will matter more. It's been well documented now and talked about that you can't afford the 3-star model, which didn't work anyway.
Like an MV3.
Yeah, you just it worked in very, very few places where you had 3 megastars on the same team.
Think about Boston, who you referenced. All right, we got Jason Tatum, you got Brown, and you have who would the third be? Porzingis, maybe.
Yeah, but that's how it works. To me, it's always worked this way. You have 2,
but it was Derek White who was like hitting in the biggest moments defensively and offensively. That's what I was getting.
Right.
At.
So or Drew Holiday would step up, or it could be Porzingis. So you would have two stars, 2 superstars, and then you have a third best player, and maybe that third best player is out of a pool of a bunch of really, really good players. I think what you're seeing now, and even maybe one, leading star, and then you have great depth and other, all NBA level player around, maybe one other. So I think that's what the CBA is showing us. That's the model,
right?
It's probably how it should be anyway.
Why is it? It's age old, and I don't have statistics to prove it. I just have the eye and my memory from watching it for decades. Reserve players, role players, since you talked about bench players. Is it fair to say that they, generally speaking, play markedly better at home than on the road? And if that's the case, why?
Oh, I think it has to do with shooting. The comfort level of shooting at home. Probably starts there. I mean, when a lot of role players, if they're coming in and off the bench and they're providing that spark, or they're getting to their average or playing, their role and a little bit above, that's generally a lot of the momentum and confidence of playing at home.
With the NBA and the landscape of the NBA and some things that transpired last year. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, starting 9 to noon. It's 9:25. Good morning. Thank you, Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org, along with Prize Picks for the last couple of years. One of the stranger years for coaches. You have Taylor Jenkins, Mike Malone, now Tibbs of late, after the Knicks' best run in a quarter century. And what I'm talking about is, under the cover of darkness, two of them were fired during the season. And one's an NBA champion, somebody with whom you used to work, Mike Malone. And I know, in fairness, it's hard to analyze or really open up because we are not in their buildings. But still, crazy timing with that. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unprecedented for sure. Patience is at an all-time low I think there's a lot of pressure on organizations all of a sudden, and I've said this many, many times, like, gone are the days where the coach is the sole interpreter of what's happening, which is fine. Used to be like, hey, coach, what happened in the game? The coach would say it. And for the most part, that's the story everybody ran with. But now you have smarter media, you have analytics, you have, front offices with all kinds of different perspectives that they're looking through the game. Ownership is smarter, more involved, oftentimes numbers driven themselves, things that they can understand. And some of it might be misapplied, and some of it, might accelerate decision making when it comes to the team in general, not just the coaching. But I think also you're not afraid now. Teams are not afraid now to take some bold swings. Look at the Luka trade. Things that just kind of move the needle, or just kind of shake the earth, if you will. So, I know, again, I can't speak for my colleagues. It is a little bit disheartening, with the timing of those, for sure. But again, those are organizational decisions, and we're not, as you said, we're not in the building, so we don't really know.
Yep.
We know it's part of what we've signed up for, but still just feels a little inhumane.
What was it when the Knicks called the team requesting to chat with you, and were denied? Was it more weird or flattering? I'd find it to be more flattering.
I mean, it's certainly flattering. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. It's flattering to be recognized and to be wanted, but it's also weird just because, I'm extremely happy here. I love what we've done and love everything about it. I love working with Tim, our players, excited for new ownership transformation. So it was definitely a kind of a weird 24 hours.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing's weird. Now you got reports of people hanging up on people. It's like we're throwing darts I've just never seen anything like that.
But again, I think it points to what I just talked about. Like, people are not afraid to be bold right now in the league.
Wow.
And I think that's kind of good, and it's interesting, but obviously it has to be still done within the framework of professionalism.
Right. But I don't know, man. I don't understand how people can possibly think that they can just call and somebody's going, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well,
yes. You want to take him to Turks and Caicos for a week? Go ahead. Wine and dine him. Have some nice food and stuff like that. Now, it would have been really weird had there been a story from like a big New York newspaper the day after the denial, and it's like, Wolves deny Knicks' request to talk to Finchy. Then the story was like, a source said, well, that's too bad. We were going to bump his pay $2 million and give him 5 more years on his contract. Then all of a sudden it would have been really strange, right?
Well, I mean, again, it was a little bit surreal, but it was flattering, and I'm very happy where I am right now.
I know, and you do a great job here, and they love you. Talkbacks for Coach Finch about 15 minutes from now. So free iHeartRadio app, microphone, 30 seconds. You know what to do. And with the NBA draft coming up, and then we're going to get into the Timberwolves moving forward coming up here soon. But NBA draft's in a week and change. 2-day event, round 1 on the 25th and round 2 on the 26th. The steam, we're always looking for steam around here with the steam team. Do you think the Mavs will move the first pick? Is that steamy anywhere?
I don't believe they will.
Yeah.
And, you're looking at a generational talent. They were very fortunate to get it given their draft odds. And, but you never know. I think, no one's afraid to be bold now.
Right.
So, but, sometimes the best thing is to do the right thing that's easy and obvious right in front of you.
What do you see in Cooper Flagg? I mean, we've all watched him, but like you people in your role and general managers and scouts and personnel people, stuff like that, they're compensated, I would assume, to cast the gaze. Yeah. Like, yes, he does this and I like this, but he's going to grow. And when he hits the next level, we think this will be different and better.
Yeah.
With Cooper, what do you see?
Well, he has a complete game, and he has a prototypical NBA body. He's long, he's strong, he's athletic. But what I think separates him and makes him special right out of the gate is he has an elite motor. And that he will just kind of use that motor to get things done until he can figure out the things that he needs to figure out, whether it be the NBA game or adjustments or et cetera, but his motor is so high that he's just going to will himself to be a force until he can polish his game.
Right. Physically speaking, it takes time against these veterans, these 30 some odd year old big guys, like maybe on their last veteran minimum deal. Like the example I used to use when I would bring this up, maybe for Flip Saunders or whomever over the years, was Gary Trent. It's like Gary Trent may be, 6 points, 4 rebounds, 9 minutes a game for 3.5 weeks. Go ahead and piss him off down by the post with that big country strength and those big shoulders. Well, he'd make you pay for it, especially if you were a super talented kid making a lot of money and you're ballyhooed and everybody's talking about you. I mean, the veterans, there's a way, and I see it in the NFL with a rookie offensive and defensive lineman drafted really high, and they're really good and twitchy and everything. They always run into veterans who they're near the end. They have bumps and bruises and aches and pains every single game, but then they get pissed off. Or either that or they got a chip on their shoulder because of the guy opposite them and everybody's talking about him. And the kids, the talented Flags and whomever, can't get around them for a little while till they work through it. Mm-hmm. Is that the case in the NBA with some of the younger talented guys against the veterans?
No doubt about it. And I would say even more so than the NFL, we're getting kids at 19 years old.
Right.
And they're still trying to figure out who they are as a player. Oftentimes, they come through college for 1 year and then they get to the NBA and they may need to do less to be able to help more. And their natural inclination is also to try to do more and show you everything that they can do, but you don't need that from a 19-year-old oftentimes.
Right.
So it's a very much of a steep learning curve. Young players, particularly those ones that are drafted in the middle to the higher part of the first round, they're gonna make it. Their talent is there. They're pretty much gonna make it most of the time. It just it might be in a year and a half. It might be in 3 years. Everybody's curve is a little bit different. I think on a nightly basis, there's probably not that same kind of, bravado that you see in the NFL because we just play so many games. Yeah. And after a while, you kind of get used to each other. And these guys have all played against each other at some point or, gone to somebody's camp or whatnot. So there's a lot of familiarity there. It probably takes a little bit of that edge off, which is a bit of a shame in that regard. But I think, certainly when a player like Flag comes in the game or I was with Zion, everybody was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And, and a lot of times those guys, they're going to give it back right away. People are going to be like, this kid's he's going to be really good.
I've said this on the radio, when it comes to officiating, that it's in all the years I've called games for the Vikings. And I watch the NFL and the NBA more than any sports. And I will contend, and I have my reasons, and I'll share most of them. Officiating in the NFL is at the worst it's been in multiple decades, maybe the history of the NFL. So then you deep dive into it a little bit, and you meet people over the years, and you learn where to go to get the information. And then you learn that it's not necessarily the case for all of them anymore to be like, all right, well, this person worked in D3 for 6 years and then was in the Big Ten or whatever. You got people skipping steps. And they're not referees. They're the side judges and the umpires and like all the ancillary pieces. And honestly, I believe that plays into the worst officiating and least consistent that I've seen in the National Football League in all my years calling games. I would contend being a ref in the NBA or being a home plate umpire are the two toughest roles when it comes to officiating, because the fans are right next to you. Inherently, you have to assume and understand you're going to take a lot of guff, and it can't be quick trigger every single night, or else there are going to be no players on benches. Do you see it that way when it comes to officiating, that it's really hard to officiate NBA games in this day and age because of what they hear, how close the fans are, and when it comes to the protocol of hiring referees, officials? Has anything changed? Because NBA officiating too, and it's not because my favorite team got bounced. I mean, I watch a lot of games, man, and it's just as inconsistent as I've ever seen it in my life.
Well, I would say this about the officiating. I do believe it is probably the hardest sport to officiate because there's so many subjective parts of it, Yeah. A strike zone could be subjective but you still have roughly the same area.
Yeah. But one day I got Freeman and low and outside's a strike. Next day I got Finchy and high and outside is a strike, and that makes it tough.
Yeah, but once you know that,
yeah,
and
no doubt,
everybody strives for consistency in officiating, and largely, I think, the best ones can get there, of course, and I think what's happened in the NBA was a lot of really talented officials and experienced ones have retired recently. So we're trying to get everybody up to speed.
You're pining for Earl Strom, right?
Well,
the Strom family line. Right. Where are you? Got any Bavettas around here?
The other thing that makes it really tough is not just the subjectivity of the call every single time down, because you could call foul every time down. Like that's just the nature of the sport.
Same with the NFL and holding,
right?
Yeah.
It's that these players are so smart, and they generally are ahead of the curve when it comes to how they, for lack of a better term, game the game. And so it feels like there's always a reaction to that, as well as there is points of emphasis that they're trying to get right. I think right now in the league, we're struggling with what is and isn't a foul. I think
kind of like that LeBron James moment in your series with hands part of the ball and the subjective nature of all that, or is that a bad example?
I mean, I think that could be certainly an example. I think just they've decided a few years ago, which we were all in favor of, is to bring back defense, allow more physicality. But now once you start that, now you're creating more subjectivity. So you're putting more pressure on the officials to get that right, to figure out what is a consistent line there.
In what areas? Like taking charges or what?
Oh, just like on-ball defense.
Yeah.
Drives to the basket, verticality at the rim, just allowing, teams to play a little bit more physical with their hands, with their body. But I think we're in like a recalibration phase where we haven't figured out like what is a really consistent approach to all of that.
Yeah.
And these referees are graded. Analytics are heavy in their game too. And
how?
They're certainly graded on all the calls they do and don't make.
Okay.
And where it might hurt is that they need to have feel too. And sometimes that feel is outside of what analytics are telling.
And you guys get intel on percentages and trends and stuff like that into games, I would assume, with officiating staffs, right?
We could if we want to, but we certainly have a lot of intel around officiating at our disposal. But the reality is, it's very hard to access in real time or apply.
Yeah.
I think it's still very much we try to make it a relationship business with the officials. We're all in it together. We're all stakeholders in the game. The frustrating thing is that, players and coaches, our stakes are a little bit more severe.
Right.
And
I see.
Yeah. So I think it's getting better. I think it's the way the league is going with what they're trying to do. I think they're on the right path. I think no one wants to watch a 150 to 147 game every single night. I think they do like the physicality. I thought when the playoffs started, and I've been on record saying this, that it was very, very physical in the first round, almost out of context. And then as the playoffs have gone along, I think it's smoothed out and it's made more sense. The physicality that they're allowing has made more sense. The head scratcher for us as coaches is like, when the playoffs are like this and refereed like this, why is the other 82 games not always done the same?
Meaning, which way does it go?
Well, yeah.
Like they swallow their whistles in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, so there are few penalties unless players go pear-shaped and they're pissed off and start 10 fights.
Yes.
Generally speaking, they swallow their whistles. During the season, that ain't the case.
And why would that be?
It's a great question.
Yeah, I think
what do I look like, Gary Bettman?
Yeah. There's, maybe a standard answer you'll hear back is, well, the level of officiating, there's some inexperience around that, so they don't have the ability to gauge it the same. I don't know,
Yeah.
Maybe the players couldn't survive 82 games of that level of physicality too.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of things to think about there. But I do know that the NBA is very well resourced when it comes to these things and educating and teaching and trying to be on top of whatever the trends are.
Does Chris expect Julius Randle and or Naz Reid to be on the team next season? They both have player options. We'll get into that and some Timberwolves specific topics with Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch in studio 9 to noon on KFAN when we return.
You're listening live to Paul Allen and 9 to noon on iHeartRadio and FM 100.3 KFAN, The Fan.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you. Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Oh, but then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Come on, why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity. With Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance, it keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com. Lenovo. Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
There's a moment every parent remembers. The day their child takes off on 2 wheels. With Guardian Bikes, that moment comes as early as 2 years old, and with less stress and frustration. These bikes are built just for kids. Lightweight frames, low center of gravity, easy-to-use brakes. Everything about Guardian is designed to help kids ride confidently, often in just 1 day, no training wheels needed. And because Guardian bikes are designed and assembled right here in the USA, you know they're built to last. With care in every detail. Their patented SureStop braking system stops both wheels with a single lever, helping your child stop safely without tripping forward or losing control. Right now, save hundreds when comparing Guardian to its competitors at GuardianBikes.com and get a free lock and pump when you join their newsletter, a $50 value. Visit GuardianBikes.com today to save and help your child learn an essential life skill safely. Guardian Bikes, built for your kid and for the memories you'll never forget.
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
Hello, you're on the air. All righty, it's 9:48, final segment with Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, nice enough to join 9 to noon for the balance of the first hour of the presentation. And the last thing you heard from us before we paused was, does Chris expect Julius Randle and or Naz Reid to be on the team next season? They both have player options. What do you think about that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And how would we get there, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I think both players want to be there. That's first and foremost the most important thing. We certainly want them there. And, I know Tim Conley is working hard to make sure that, they get some sort of deals done that, make them happy and want to stay and feel gratitude that, the team is taking care of them.
With Julius, I mean, it's a whirlwind when you're traded, period. It's whirlwind 1A when you go from a concrete jungle to the middle of the country, and you bring your family and everything. Then, we've discussed this before. Whether it's you guys figuring out the best way to make this whole thing work, them following the plan, them not following the plan and going to the free will card, hero ball, some would call it at times. But then Julius in that Wizards game, I think he messed up his groin in that game and he was out for like a month. And he had an interview after a game with Leah B. Olson. It was a road game. And, she asked him, when you were down, what did you do with the team? And he's like, well, I was able to watch in a different way than when I watched it back while playing. And everything seemed to get better from that moment moving forward. So the point being here is truly, and this is a question for Julius Randle, but you being the boss and the coach and a surrogate, whatever, to these players, is how difficult was that? How much of a whirlwind was that for him? And do you sense he and his family truly did settle into the culture of this part of the country, how much the fans love the team and stuff like that?
Well, I know they do love being here. They did settle in quickly, enjoyed it. Found a great home, and I think in New York they were living in a condo apartment, so and their family is getting larger, so they were able to kind of settle in at the right time and feel really a part of this community. So I think it helped that Julius and I had an existing relationship when it came to basketball, but our organization does an incredible job of taking care of people, welcoming them, making them feel like, they have found a home, whatever it is they need. And, on the floor or anytime you get traded, we've talked about this. It is we underestimate how hard it is for a player, and it's part. We shouldn't necessarily feel sorry for him, but we do also have to have empathy.
Correct.
And it takes time. A new player in a new organization wants to prove himself, wants to show the best version of himself, wants to fit in. Needs to earn trust, needs to earn playing time or a role that he might be asked to play a different role. Trying to earn another contract, a new contract with this team, doesn't want to be traded again. Just all these things, as you start saying them out loud, it's a lot going on in any player's mind at any given time. I think with Julius, what happened was, we asked him to do different things, and he tried to do that, and we were trying to figure out what we needed from him too. And then it's all rooted in trust. He had to see and be able to trust what his teammates were able to do, not having ever really seen it before because he hadn't played with them for 3 and 4 years. Mm-hmm. So, you throw a big rock in a small pond, you're going to get a lot of ripples. And that's what happens in these trades. And Jaden McDaniels is a classic example. Like, we fully expected Jaden to take another step forward this year, but that was all kind of put on the back burner when Julius and Dante showed up, because we're trying to get those guys integrated, trying to figure out what we had and everything. But then when they got hurt, Jaden took that step, and they could see a different Jaden that they'd never seen before.
Nas Reed, too,
yes.
Right? I mean, like, you look at Nas, and when he had to start in the OKC regular season games, I mean, we're 24 here, 23 there, and it's not saying he was bad consistently in the Western Conference Finals, but most of it was different than what we saw with Nas in the regular season against those guys. Is that fair?
Yeah, it was. And we had totally different roster construction when we played those guys in the regular season. We played them without a lot of our bigs, so we played a lot of small ball there and really had to junk up the games. And things that we did try to do a little bit in the OKC series in the final Western Conference Finals, just not necessarily able to accomplish at the level we needed to at that point in time. So, but yeah, back to your point, like, Nas, and these are, we've seen this from Nas before. Like, he has that ability. Jaden, we felt this was coming last year when we saw in the playoffs, and it was just a little bit hijacked by the trade. So these are just all the ancillary effects that happen when you make these trades. It's not just about the player and his fit. It's how it affects everybody else.
Right. Chris Finch in Studio 9 to noon. Talk back. So we asked for them. Let's see what some fans have to say.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, Mike in Richmond. Just really appreciate everything you're doing with this team. It's really exciting to watch you guys every season, and very encouraging. But what I did want to ask is, we've seen the Pacers play with a lot of pace, for lack of a better term, and really seems to give OKC some challenges. And I'm wondering if we've got the guys on the team, specifically I'm thinking Shannon and Dillingham, who could maybe help in that regard next year. Thanks.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's 100% has to be an objective of playing faster. Well, first of all, I would say Indiana's probably plays the fastest with the most purpose that I've seen in a long time. Playing fast has been a trend in the league, and everybody wants to do it. But, it has to have a purpose. It has to lead to good things. And Indiana has been able to really marry that up. I felt through the regular season, having played them only twice, that they were the hardest team to guard. But for sure, and it all started with their pace.
And it's all of them. I mean, because at Gainbridge, they had most, if not all, their guys. And here, Nembhard plays, he's out. Now what we're seeing from Obi Toppin in the NBA Finals, I think a lot of people can be like, he has that. They probably all have that in him. But, he's been you haven't watched, but he's been really, really good in these finals.
Yeah, he's been good. And he's been really good since he's gotten there playing in that system. And that's what playing with pace does. It unlocks a lot of things. You just have to be willing to trust that it'll happen. One of the reasons we drafted Rob and TJ is because they can increase our pace. And we're excited about that for next season. But we need more pace out of our main players too. And, it's just a commitment we're going to have to make. And it is a way to counter all the physicality that, OKC does play with.
I described Terrence Shannon Jr. as a rolling ball of butcher knives, and really impressed by him in the finals when he came in with it. Had a side of reckless abandon to it, but it also had a big side of fearless to it.
Sure.
Like, what's next for him?
More of the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
just refining and honing.
So much, I get asked this question a lot, usually at the beginning of the season. What's next for so-and-so? What's next for so-and-so? Well, what's next is being able to do it over and over and over every single night. I think that's where it starts. What we love about TJ is that he has a very well-defined game. He knows who he is, and we saw that, and you can throw him in at any moment. And next year, obviously, he's going to be a significant part of our rotation. But just playing to who you are, doing it every night, so we can expect that we're going to get some version of that every single night.
Let's go back to the machine.
Hey, PA. Hey, Nordo. It's Max from Egan. Finchy, first off, I just want to say congrats on the successful season.
Finchy.
Obviously, didn't take it to the promised land, but us real fans know we're in the right place, and you're at the forefront of that, so we applaud you for that. My question is a little bit more lighthearted. I just kind of wanted to know what your favorite moment was from last season, looking back, if it was a certain game or a certain thing that happened while traveling or anything like that. Just curious to see what that is. Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.
First of all, appreciate all the kind words and the support, not just on the talk back here, but also that we get around town. We know we have great fans, and we feel we got the wind at our back, and they're a large part of it.
King of the North Loop. Oh, wait, that's Aaron Freeman.
I was just thinking about this morning because I thought this might be a question that we would come across. So, without a doubt, my favorite part of the season was starting Joe Ingles. In front of his son. I get choked up just thinking about it now. Yeah. What it meant to Joe, what it meant to his family, but also what it meant to his teammates. And it really galvanized our team in a lot of ways, and so it came at the perfect time in the season. And
it was at home.
At home, everyone got behind it.
Yeah,
and it was Joe's meant so much to our team. There's always this notion of having a great vet on your team or a vet to help young players. But honestly, a lot of those vets aren't always about the right things. But Joe Ingles is about the right things. And we're fortunate to have him. And he's a large part of our team because he can relate to our top end players and he can mentor our younger players. And that's pretty special.
Some more talkbacks momentarily. We got about 5 minutes left. Anthony Edwards first. The next step with Anthony, and it's a next step question, but I want to lay it out like this because you mentioned it here and everywhere that 2 seasons ago need you to work on these facets of your ball handling. Check. 3-point game. Check. So, like for Anthony, is there any topic on which he's working up to next season?
Well, I think he's always looking to add to his game. I do feel like we could use him down in and around the post a little bit more, but we've got to kind of clean up his footwork, help give him a plan down there. I think he can be really good at it. I know he's excited about adding that. For me, priorities for Anthony in the off summer are kind of going back to who you were a few years ago, like getting back to playing a little bit more in the open floor, playing a little bit faster, get your finishing back to where it was. He had a subpar finishing year, and that's then probably just an outlier. But hey, you got to put the work in. Sometimes you just got to get back to kind of the foundation that gave you the opportunity to be who you are.
So that means beating somebody or working the right way off the pick and beating somebody, going to the basket and that finishing point.
Yeah, like he getting to the basket's never been a problem to him. Just his finishing this year, he just didn't finish well. Just like you have a bad shooting year, you had a bad finishing around the rim year, but we feel that'll bounce back strong with just the right amount of maintenance. It's like anything else. He's going to be good at it because he's been good at it in the past. I think in that foul drawing will also kind of will go up. He'll continue. He did a really good job from January on drawing fouls, but in the first part of the season didn't draw fouls at the level that he should. And so he did a really good job in the middle of the season of course correcting and building on that. And I just he's going to continue to face multiple bodies, multiple lines of defense. So the faster that he can play, get out and stretch the floor, get out and transition a little bit more, add some easy baskets to your game. I think those are things that are kind of low-hanging fruit that he can get back to.
What's a trend you see changing in the NBA? Like, there was a record number of threes last season. What's next in the NBA's eye-opening department?
It's really hard to predict at this point in time. I think a lot of the trends that you're going to see are probably going to be more subtle defensive trends. We see a lot more, everyone's trying to switch as much as they possibly can. I do think you're going to see more aggressive defenses to try to take the ball out of more people's hands, get back to, more aggressive pick and roll coverages that really impact the ball handler.
9 to noon with Chris Finch and a smiling producer. I'll go ahead and hit it.
Hey guys, Mike Hastings. Chris, I just want to say thank you for the last 2 years, man. This has been one hell of a freaking run you've been on. Hopefully next year we can win that championship. But I do have a basketball question for Finch. I'm coaching my daughter's basketball team. How do you get out of a full court press? Thanks. Love you, Finch.
Thank you, Coach. Well, is it a 1-2-2? Are they guarding the inbounder? Are they trapping you by half court? My man needs a lot of help here. He wants the professional opinion from an NBA coach. How does that level of team beat a full court press?
Well, generally, the younger you are, you beat it with the pass. But it'd be good to have somebody who could just put the ball on the ground and just go.
Yeah. I have an idea. Remember, this is so age old. The string. Remember, right. It's on a string. Yeah. So you got the guy, it's everybody that's straight down. Just how's that work? You throw the ball. It's like the press breaker was like a string all the way down the court, right?
Yeah. Try to hit the middle and then try to hit the guy beyond. So.
Maybe that's why Rick Pitino couldn't get the full court press to work in the NBA. He didn't run the string. Let's hit another talk back there really kind.
Hey, Coach. Todd from St. Louis Park here. Wanted to hear your thoughts on Rob Dillingham and how his first year went and what he needs to do to improve to be the starting point guard for this team. I think he can unlock a lot for this team offensively, specifically playmaking and creating both on-ball and off-ball and taking a little pressure off of Ant. And he kind of unlocks a different dimension that this team has seemed to lack a little this season. So thank you for the time.
And he's 20 years old now, right?
Yeah, he's young. He's just finishing his first full season. We're excited for his summer. The summer league is just around the corner. Our young guys are back in the gym. They're working hard. This is the time that it's really all about them. There's no doubt Rob is going to be a very good player in this league for a long time. Again, just coming in so young to a team with such high expectations and a lot of veteran players. It was hard to work him into the rotation consistently. He did do a good job, and particularly over time, of figuring things out, and his game kind of took some shape. He's got to work on his shot. He will be a good shooter once the strength and the consistency of form is there. We need him to play full throttle all the time. Mm-hmm. We do feel like his playmaking is something that we desperately need. His ability to break the paint is something that we desperately need. The biggest gains and what I'm most pleased with is his defense. His competitiveness grew and grew. He's always going to be up against it with his size. Teams are going to always try to pick on him. They're going to try to find him. They're going to try to bully him. And, he's got to have a Mike Conley-like mentality to fight back all the time. His off-ball defense has to be elite, and his recognition has to be elite. And but he made the most gains there, and that's where I'm. That's what's in our system is going to get you on the floor first.
One talk back, then my final question, and then we'll say goodbye. My final question is my friend Lance, who's the varsity basketball coach at Rosemont High School. I see him every Sunday at church. Told him you were coming in studio, and we talk about NBA all the time. And he wanted me to ask you a question that I thought was really interesting. What coaches have the toughest offensive and defensive schemes, but not necessarily the best players who are the toughest to guard?
Well, I would say one is Indiana. Yeah. We just talked about that. It all starts with their pace, and they have a lot of guys who have multi-skilled packages. But if you took them all in isolation, they're not necessarily difficult to guard. So I would say them for sure. Very, very, very tough. Defensively, what OKC is doing right now. They have a lot of very good individual defenders, but the collective is elite. Something we haven't seen in the league to this level for a long, long time. Again, if you put them in isolation, you can probably take advantage of many of them. Yeah. But their connectivity is such high level.
Coach Lance's follow was, what current NBA coach are you closest with and or has had the most influence on you? Current coaches.
Yeah, Nick Nurse from the Philadelphia 76ers. We go back a long way. We grew up in England coaching against each other as young professional coaches in our late 20s. We started as adversaries, rival teams, became very good friends, have walked similar paths. We've worked for each other. I was an assistant of his in Toronto. He was an assistant of mine with the national team in the Olympics. And I would say not only were we close as coaches, but also as friends. And I know for a fact he's had a lot of influence on me, whether it was competing against him, watching his teams play, learning from him, working alongside him, picking his brain, talking basketball. I'd probably have a similar impact just because we've spent so much time together.
Have you ever beaten him in a game and said, "Hey, nurse, meet the doctor"? That ever happened?
No.
Hey, nursey, meet the doctor. All right, last talk back.
What's up, PA? What's up, Coach Finch? It's Aaron from Little Canada. I'm 27 years old. I've been a Timberwolves fan my whole life. I just want to give a shout out to Coach Finch for just bringing a lot of consistency and direction to the franchise. And there's been a lot of seasons where it was tough watch, but we're at this point as a state and as a fan base where we're really proud of our Timberwolves and to say that we're Timberwolves fans, and I see a championship coming.
That was a fantastic way to finish things. Thank you, Nordo. Thank you to all the talkbackers. And thank you too, Chris, for coming by, and we'll stay in touch this summer, okay?
Absolutely. And appreciate all the support from yourself, PA, and from all the fans out there.
In closing part 9, there are a lot of insiders with the Minnesota Timberwolves, either organization or those who cover, who are hitting me with the very same request here, that you are supposedly to keep your eye on Aaron Freeman this summer because it's being deemed the summer of free.
Yeah, it is the summer of free.
Summer of free in the North Loop. Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. How's summer of free going, man? It's going good.
We're off to a good start.
That's good. Good luck in the draft. Best of luck with free agency, and we'll chat soon, all right?
Thank you.
Aaron, Sarah, thank you very much. This is 9 to Noon.
Hi, I'm Danielle Fishel from Pod Meets World. So for my 2 boys, I got Samsung Galaxy Watch for Kids. And I'm not saying I'm kind of jealous of my kids' tech. I'm saying I am definitely jealous of my child's tech. This thing lets them call, text, and explore all from their wrist. No smartphone required. And don't worry, you're still the boss. You control who they can talk to, and yes, you can totally stalk their location in real time. Get Galaxy Watch 7 on T-Mobile, now kid-ready with a new paired line. Visit T-Mobile.com to order yours today. Parent and child must have a Samsung account and Google account with Family Link. Requires initial pairing with a compatible Samsung smartphone and qualifying wireless plan with LTE service activated. Please check with your carrier for more information. Trusted contact applies to compatible apps. It does not restrict communication through third-party or other communication apps. Emergency services and contacts remain accessible. Location sharing is dependent on network connectivity and device being recently active. T-Mobile terms via 24 monthly bill credits when you add a qualifying paired watch line. See additional offer terms on T-Mobile.com.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and great food. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So, when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite grocery items delivered straight to you. Get ice cream, soda, and snacks from your favorite stores like Wegmans and CVS and make the most of every moment. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Does Friendly have a taste?
If it does, it's probably like Hello's peppermint-flavored anti-plaque and whitening toothpaste. Brush away plaque, show tartar who's boss, and remove surface stains to naturally whiten. Hello's thoughtful and flavor-forward products make brushing your teeth feel like a confetti-filled bathroom dance party. So say hello to Hello with the always cruelty-free, never tested on animals toothpaste that's made to spread smiles. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.
Let your imagination take flight with an AI-powered PC from Lenovo. Whether it's creating digital art, designing new software, or building a portfolio for a future career, our PCs are powered by Intel Core Ultra processors to help students unlock smarter learning and unleash their creativity. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. All you have to do is choose the one that fits your passion. Head to Lenovo.com to shop AI PCs and find your perfect companion. Plus, get 5% off when you create an education account.